Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Castello Show. It is Matchweek 15. Super excited to be here with you. I am your host, Brian, here with my co-host, John, and a very special guest, a long-time-awaited Landon Atwell, ladies and gentlemen. How the hell are you, Landon?
How's it going, guys? Doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm good. This has been, if you guys watch the show, I mean, how many times have we rescheduled this?
Probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's been a month, I think, at least.
Every week, we're like, all right, Landon's going to be on the show this week. We got to get notes together. And then one of us cancels as we get closer. But we've never had a guest. And we've both known you a long time, but we know that there's going to be people out there that don't. So I wanted to start with just some questions so everyone gets to know you. Let's start with basics. How long have you been playing soccer?
I started playing when I was 3. I have an older brother, so I've watched my whole life. And I'm named after Landon Donovan, so obviously my family loves soccer too.
I don't know if I knew that.
I knew that.
I probably did know that, and then I forgot. When in that soccer career, because you started at 3, at what point did a Mountain Dew before every game become a thing?
It started when my dad started taking me to soccer pretty much.
That is a dad
So
thing.
probably, yeah, when I went to club, I started playing probably 7 or 8. So my dad would take me to all my games and get me a drink at the gas station first, and I'd always get Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, something like that. So
Gotcha. And then when did Dr. Pepper after a game start? Because I remember it was probably my sophomore year, your freshman year. We played a road game, and we got off the field, and you pulled out a Dr. Pepper, and you were like a screaming cold soda after the game.
Well, I mean, I don't know if y'all ever have done a run or something, but the best.
No, I've
feeling
never ran.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but the best feeling after is a fresh soda. You know, it hits the back of your throat. Pause, but
You don't feel that maybe undoes some of the progress of the run?
I mean, It's catching up on me, but back in the day I weighed like 110 pounds, so
Right.
it didn't seem like an issue back
Not
then.
anymore.
Yeah.
And then, so another big question I wanted to ask you, because you are, I'm trying to think of the word here, fiery on a field, passionate. What is more fun, arguing with a ref as a player or arguing with a coach as a ref? Which do you enjoy more? Walk me through it.
That's the easiest question I've ever been asked.
Okay.
Arguing as a coach or arguing as a ref to a coach easily, because you can say, I mean, I keep it cordial, but you can say whatever you want, pretty much. I never say nothing crazy, but I mean, obviously.
Do you know what the craziest thing you've ever said is, if you had to pull one?
I mean, honestly, I told not for John's reffing, obviously, but I told just a few weeks ago. I told the ref's kid, or not the ref's coach's kid.
Coach's
sorry,
kid.
my fault about that. But the coach's kid that his dad didn't know anything about soccer.
That rules. I remember, I'm trying to think what my craziest one was. I do have a memory. I was probably like 14 or 15. I told the coach he was going to have to go wait in the parking lot like a kid if he didn't stop.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that was bad, but I've definitely said a lot of stuff like that.
That one's not bad. The like a kid, I think, is what I probably could have left off.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, I've said a lot of stuff like you're setting a great example for your kids and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know if that's great, but I feel like
that's fun. I like
It's
underhanded
reasonable.
stuff as a ref.
Yeah.
To be like kind of sarcastic and cunty. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
is
'cause
usually the tone you want to
As a
take.
player, you can't really say much. I mean, I literally threw up my hands one time and got a yellow card. And I wasn't even mad at the ref. I was mad that the kid didn't make a run for me. So I was like,
Right.
But, some refs, not me, are bad refs, Not me, though, obviously.
And then one last question, because music was a big part of our high school soccer team, friendship, everything.
Yes.
So I know what the songs were then, but today, Landon, you've just been signed to Atlanta United. It's time to make your pregame playlist. Give me a couple songs, artists. What are you bumping now?
Shit.
Oh, the
So
Spotify's out.
Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah, I just said cunt
Sorry,
a second ago.
Shit, fuck, bitch. Sorry.
It's YouTube, baby. Go nuts.
What?
Oh,
That was it something. Oh, yeah. What's the one where Vince Vaughn had
Mighty
the,
Ducks.
No.
Vince Vaughn.
Where he
Remember
had
the Titans, Coach
Stereo
Carter.
City. He had Stereo City, and then his buddy, one of the Wilson brothers, went back to college. They made a
Old
fraternity.
school?
Old school, yeah.
Wow.
Because he's like, if you just say earmuffs, you can say whatever you want. Shit, fuck, cock.
That's funny.
But I was gonna say, Je m'appelle by Benz. It's a bit of an old song, but shout out that song for sure.
There we go.
You got obviously Rip Young Scooter, but Columbia remix. Rip Young Scooter once again.
R.I.P.
I don't know
R.I.P.
any of these songs.
That's why I wanted to do
Shout
this,
out-
because I wanted to see if you knew any of them.
Shout out Young Scooter once again.
Shout out.
Shout out Final Countdown.
And then Magneto by Blanco.
Oh, I do
Great
know
song.
that one.
Good song, great song. CRG, Central C and Dave, good song, great song.
Classic British shit.
Yeah,
Our
and
grind.
then if we want a little bit of, like boy band shit, I love old O-Town, All or Nothing, great song. Shout out O-Town.
I do know O-Town.
There
Yeah,
you go.
big up Orlando, I believe is where they're from.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's why it's O-Town, obviously.
We got that.
For Randy Travis, obviously,
Randy
if you want to
Obviously.
obviously.
Beethoven,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Shout out Marshville, North Carolina.
I just love Bach. He gets me fired up.
Casey and JoJo, all my life, love Casey and JoJo.
Great
Jodeci,
song.
if
Yeah.
you don't know. And then let's see.
I think this is a pretty good list.
Yeah,
so
I was
far.
gonna say Jay Huss. Obviously, anything Jay Huss.
Mhm.
And we can stop there if you don't want anything
Yeah.
else.
I think that's
cool.
a
Yeah,
that's
I
a good
was
list so far.
gonna say- Yeah.
So, and kind of the last thing I want to say, this will move us into the show. So, you're an Atlanta fan.
Of course.
For people who don't know.
Yeah.
What were you a fan once the team started? Did you grow into it? Like walk me
Yeah.
through the story.
I'll explain. So the first year Atlanta had a team, we went to a game. It was at Bobby Dodd, the Georgia Tech football stadium.
Mhm.
They weren't even playing at
Ben's,
the Georgia Dome or whatever yet.
because Ben's didn't exist
Yeah.
until way later.
But we went there. We saw NYCFC play. I believe that's y'all guys, right? Pretty much.
Are
you
it was
Rebels?
then. I mean, at the time, I guess
Yeah.
I was an Orlando fan when they started.
I
'Cause
remember
loved
that.
Kaká, and I just liked purple at the time. And
At
and
the
I,
time.
but I didn't know anything about the MLS. Honestly, I was only
Yeah.
watching Prem and stuff. And then NYCFC started not long after, and I was an NYC fan because of David Villa. Was
Oh
on the
yeah, I was
team
gonna say
then.
I saw David Villa play. I believe Pirlo might have. Been
I was
on
going
the
to
team
say.
still.
Yeah, I mean, that was some roster.
Yeah, and then
And they won an MLS Cup, didn't they?
I believe
yeah, I
so.
believe it was probably. I don't know how it was. I know the score was 4-2. Believe it was at Bobby Dodd, so there probably wasn't many games. It's easy to look up, I would imagine, but
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to do it.
yeah, I
but
was
people
gonna
at
say,
home, if
yeah,
you
y'all want to look it up? I'm sure it's easy to find, but I remember wanting to go because Kenwin Jones was on the team. Shout out Kenwin Jones. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. He was on Sunderland, I believe, or one of those teams in the Premier League.
Gotcha.
But my coach growing up was from Trinidad, so he was a big fan. So I was very excited to see him, and he was the biggest signing for Atlanta at the time. He didn't play that game, but
That sucks.
that was the only jersey I had, so that's what I
Nice.
wanted to see.
All right. Well, Landon, it was nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, let's start with news. I don't really have a ton.
We're not going to talk about his 2-12 fantasy record.
Well, we can. I wanted to get into that
Okay.
when we did the
Okay,
fantasy
that's
stuff.
fine.
You're gonna be put on the hot seat.
2-2 in the last 4 weeks, by the way.
Well, I mean, that's
Or
actually-
2-1 in the last 3 weeks, I believe.
Well, that's quite the improvement.
Yeah.
I wanted to start with U.S. men's teams call-ups. Now we don't have to talk a ton about this because I mean it's been famously recorded that we don't care about the U.S. men's team as of late. But I know you do root for the U.S. and care.
A little bit, yeah.
So couple big names on there. Ajimong obviously coming back. Brian White, Diego Luna, De La Torre, and Quinn Sullivan. This will be their first time. Matt Freeze, Alex Freeman. There's a couple other big like MLS names.
Yeah, there's a big push for MLS players
Yeah.
now.
I heard a few guys didn't want to play. I don't know if that has much to do with some of the call-ups.
Didn't Pulisic not want to?
Yeah. So Pulisic's agent basically said that he's been playing like 2 years pretty much nonstop without a break, and that's why he wants to rest right now.
Not really totally true, but
No, it's not. McKinney and Sargent are not on the roster at the moment.
did Musa not make it, by the way?
Musa did not, I
Gotcha.
believe. But here's because those guys are. I think they're probably resting. I think when it gets back to competitions, these guys are going to come back.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But this is a big chance for some of these first-time guys to come in and start scoring, start setting things up, and maybe keeping the spots. So, I mean, Pulisic, I think he's pretty secure. I don't think he's going anywhere. But I could see someone like a Josh Sargent getting kind of phased
easily.
out for a hungry Brian White.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been they haven't been doing anything.
And, I mean, I mean, any of these guys, really, even McKinney, he's been great at Juventus, but if you're not going to play for the team all the time,
Yeah, well, and that's the big thing, I think. A lot of these guys go put in great seasons in Europe, and then they come into these international games and they suck. And I think it's because they almost feel like it's a step down.
Yeah.
Whereas I think to the MLS guys, it is still an honor to be on the national team. That's a thing you strive for. So I think there's just more positivity around the MLS players that get called up than the European guys.
Yeah, and I will say there's only so many chances to get ready for the World Cup. So any player who is healthy, for me, should be playing.
Yeah.
Even like I don't know, is Dest on the spot?
Dest is on.
Gotcha. I was going to say, for sure, Dest needs to be playing. He's, for me, the most technically gifted player probably outside of maybe Tim Weah, but...
Yeah, who is also not on the roster.
Gotcha, yeah. I was going to say Tim Weah needs to be on the team also.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I don't hate leaving some of these guys off. I do think I kind of would have liked maybe a healthier mix. I feel like they kind of just started over.
It didn't Luna not make like the Olympic team or something? Or like the U23s not too long ago?
Something, but Luna's been kind of a staple recently.
But I swear it was like the Olympics last summer or something. It was something like important because I felt like, a lot of people were pretty mad that, all these guys are playing or maybe it was the Gold Cup itself because he obviously should have been in it and people were pretty mad about it, it seemed. But yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of the best players in the MLS, obviously, regardless of country.
I think what Diego Luna brings to a team, and it's because he plays at RSL and he's the only goddamn player on RSL, he just makes things happen. And I think that's what the U.S. needs right now. Like, they need catalysts.
They also need people that have some toughness. Like, it is...
I mean, Diego Luna's got neck tattoos.
Well, I mean,
that's what we need.
It is not, but that is, if you look at that roster... Those are not players. I wouldn't build a team like that.
Yeah.
Right? The teams that I like can turn soccer into rugby at any moment.
Yeah.
And these guys, there are zero of those players on the current, the past team, that have been playing. So the best Luna can do that.
Yeah, the best thing about, the team in 2000, obviously I was born in 2000, but watching back the 2002, 2006 teams, 2010 even, those guys all seemed to care to play for the team and were
much more than today's.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously they weren't the best players in the world, but they played up to the level of the best players in the world.
Yeah, well, in that 2014 run in Brazil,
I mean, even them.
I mean, that was really when I started.
Was that Dempsey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was without Donovan too, which is pretty crazy. Because Donovan was still the best player at the time.
None of those guys are Clint Dempsey.
No. Well, and it wasn't just Dempsey. You had Altidore. You still had Tim Howard at that point. He wasn't gone yet.
Was Jermaine Jones, I believe, was on the team.
Jermaine Jones was on that team. That was a U.S. team that I loved watching.
He had the strike against Portugal. I think that was Jermaine Jones. One of those guys. They had
remember
crazy
the
strike.
goal. I want to say it was Jermaine Jones.
Yeah, it was a crazy strike, yeah. And, I mean, they played up. That was the group of death, and they made it out somehow.
Yeah.
And I think if that happened, in the next World Cup or a World Cup after that, they wouldn't make it out. Even if it was easier.
No, I completely agree. And, hey, now we don't really root for the team, but... If it's going to be MLS heavy, this is a team I will start to like again. I mean, I like Diego Luna. I like Brian White. I like Quinn Sullivan, even though he fucks me some weeks.
And then when you finally don't take him, he has a banger.
I will say, I would have liked to see Sullivan's brother maybe picked.
Yeah, I think
he's a little
feeling...
young.
Right, and I think I know that.
I know that, yeah, but... At the same time, this kid's going to play for Man City at some point. We got to get him reps for the U.S. team at some point, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity for me.
Yeah, I would, honestly, it would have been really funny to not take Quinn and take Kevin.
I would have loved that. I mean, I would have been cool with that. Quinn is a good MLS player. He's never going to be a great European player. And that's just...
No, I agree. Well, and honestly, if you get... Because what I think you have to avoid is this... European League-itis that's developing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you get him playing on the national team now, young, he will find value in it,
Yeah. And I mean, if he's playing for Man City or even on Man City's team, he'll be on the U.S. roster at some point, for sure.
Yeah. The other big thing, and this isn't really news, it's just a stat that I thought was hilarious to lead us into last week's matches. So the LA Galaxy, they're 15 games winless, which we all knew that.
Unbelievable.
The official longest winless streak from the start of the season is the Houston Dynamo. They went 16 games.
Do you know what year that was?
It was like fairly recently. It was like 2018 or something like that.
I was going to say, 'cause Houston Dynamo teams have been pretty rough recently, so that makes a lot of sense.
But
say DeMarcus Beasley was probably the best player for a long time. 40-year-old
right.
DeMarcus Beasley.
But they're one game off the longest winless streak ever, and we're into a double game week. So there is a chance that we come back next week and tell you that the LA Galaxy are historically the worst team in MLS history.
Is this the worst team ever?
Can we agree now that Ricky Puig is definitely the 2024 MVP?
Well,
I mean, oh my God.
Well, I mean, he was good enough to be at Barcelona. He's kind of doing the MLS a favor by playing with that here.
No, I agree. Well, and I can't even imagine being Ricky Puig and getting that injury and just thinking, do you know how much, the level of fuck you money I could have cashed in had I played, if I just stayed in Europe, transferred to, Mallorca.
Well, the thing is, if he
Sevilla.
could have played in Belgium or somewhere like that, got the same amount of stats, and gone back into Spain or somewhere like that easily.
Yeah.
But you said that you feel like he should feel like he's doing the MLS a favor. That's how I feel about all these American players playing in Europe about the U.S. men's national team.
Gotcha, yeah.
They feel like they're doing the
I
team a
agree.
favor.
I mean, yeah, I
and
agree
that's
with
why
that,
I
for sure.
hate them so much.
Yeah, and they aren't. That's your national team. But Ricky, you could literally argue he could be the face after Messi, retires at the
absolutely.
MLS, and he doesn't have to stay here. But obviously, he'll probably get better. Being in LA, plenty of signing stuff that incentives and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
His
and it's
nil
also,
will be crazy.
for him to be in LA, I think it's one of the only cities you could keep Ricky Puig because when he starts to get restless, you go, hey, we're going to sign Marco Royce. Or, hey, we're going to you just bring in another stud.
Well, yeah, and Atlanta, they have spent so much money, but they can't keep, Ezekiel Barco, Thiago Almada, they can't keep these good players. And if LA keeps Puig, I think that shows a good sign for the MLS, at least, about the big cities.
Yeah, well, and it also, I think it's sort of and I'm sure wherever Ricky Puig lives in LA is very nice, but I keep hearing LA's a hellscape and LA's so awful.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
If it's good enough for Ricky Puig to stay, the mayor of LA
Gavin Newsom's a prick, clearly.
But the city of LA needs to be doing things to keep the talent in.
Yeah, I think we need to have some sort of parade for Puig to keep him here or something.
Yeah, I think no income tax for Ricky Puig would be a good start.
Sure.
Let's get into last week's games.
I like what I see at the top.
Yeah, so I wanted to start with Atlanta, 4-2 over Cincy. And Cincy, I don't want to say this was a blowout because Cincy actually, if you look at the stats, they had more possession, more shots on target, but way lower XG.
Yeah, I will say when you watch the game, it felt like 4-2 wasn't right for either team. It felt like it could have been 6-4 maybe.
Yeah. No, well, and what these numbers tell me, because Cincinnati's getting way more shots, they're getting way more shots on target, but the XG is lower. Evander will pull the trigger
from anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. If he's 40 out and no one's in front of him.
He had great spots, too. He had a lot of open space and would take those shots, but they just weren't hitting. And
he's good enough to do that.
Yeah, and maybe being indoors, I don't know if that, and being on the turf messes with him, but obviously it felt like he was off a little bit for me.
We talked about Orejano doing that, remember? All of his shots are from 40 yards out. Well, he sucks. Evander is unbelievable.
Yeah, and he had the space. It wasn't like anybody was getting near him.
Yeah, which is kind of shocking from Atlanta to not. I mean, if I'm playing against Evander,
they didn't have
I'm
the
putting
guys, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, not that you want to, because, I mean, you start losing the chess match when you shadow people, but maybe you shadow it. Like, it's kind of the only way I can think to shut him down.
I mean, really, the guy who probably would have shadowed him was Fortune, and Fortune was probably the best player offensively.
Yeah, no, he looked great. His goal
Him and
was
Latte
really
Lot.
good.
I thought Latte Lot was excellent, even though he didn't score.
Yeah, good hold-up play.
Athletically, he's just so much better than every defender in the MLS. He should be able to get a lot of goals.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and I was big on Latte Lot to start, and I just feel like the fantasy numbers are not there.
Oh, yeah, for
now,
sure.
that doesn't mean he's a bad player.
I mean,
there's
what,
other
he's-
intangibles.
running
than that.
players
down to-
off, things like that.
Yeah, he's down to 7.7 million or something like that, which is crazy because he's the most expensive player in MLS history.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well, I have to imagine Messi costs more, no?
well, I think
Not with
Messi
his
was-
contract.
yeah,
He's
Messi's-
got all this other stuff with Apple.
Right,
and,
right,
yeah,
right.
and Messi, I believe, was a free transfer. Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Latte Lot.
Right, it wasn't a transfer, it was a signing.
Yeah, the transfer fee was the most expensive for Latte Lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I mean, you would say he's a bust by looking at the numbers, but when you watch him play, you don't see it.
Yeah, no, I do think he never looks out of place on the field. Like, he is always creating, if it's not creating for him, it's getting someone else open by running someone off.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, any set pieces, they should be the best team on set pieces offensively. They got Williams and Gregerson up back, Latte Lot, and then they got Saba and Almiron crossing the ball, and they should be the best
So
at set pieces.
Defensively, they're one of the worst
Yeah,
teams
and I
on
see
set
that
pieces.
too,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
They're a nightmare.
Miles Robinson got open so easily, and I think a lot of it too has to do with, I mean, Guzan looks pretty rough back in the goal. I mean, a lot of those shots, he's just a second late, either trying to get to the ball or he just doesn't read it at all, really.
And we talked about first half of the season how good he was. Actually, that he was one of the few good players on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought last night he was bad. I'm not saying for the whole season, but last night
Yeah.
he looked pretty rough.
So, with last night in mind, because it's 2 months, no wins, got one, and a hard-fought one. I mean, it's 4-2, but that fourth goal is Tiare and stoppage. I mean,
Yeah.
it really did come down to the wire. One thing I do want to say that's pro-Atlanta here, they never stopped attacking.
Oh, yeah.
That is something that's come up week after week for us. LAFC, when they tied LA Galaxy, there's been a few games where we're like, why did you take your foot off the fucking gas?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily. They always do that, but I didn't necessarily agree with taking Latte off. Obviously, it works, but I think with an expensive signing, you don't want to make them mad, and
Fair.
that's a good way to make somebody mad, taking them off when they clearly aren't that tired.
Yeah, well, in a tight game, too.
Yeah,
It's not
especially-
like the game's
I
done.
mean, yeah, it clearly worked, but I mean, Latte Lot probably would have buried that too. Either way, you know, it's a simple finish, and I know he missed the one earlier where he tried to triple by the goalie, but I don't think he would have made that same mistake twice.
Probably not, no. But with this in mind, does Atlanta still suck, or have they turned a corner? What are your thoughts here?
I'm a bit of a betting man. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's a good time to look at betting on Atlanta to win the MLS championship.
You'll certainly get good
Alright.
odds.
Yeah, and I will say, if you find an app that lets you cash out, it's a perfect opportunity because I can tell you it's only going to go up from here. The odds are.
Right, and then you cash out before they actually don't win.
Before
that's
they
what
actually lose in the first round
I'm not
of the
saying they're going
playoffs.
to win, but I will say it's a great opportunity. Even the Galaxy, because I don't think the Galaxy are going to stay on this chapter. At some point, their odds are going to go
When
up
does
too.
Puig come back?
Yeah.
Really?
And I mean, you know, at some point, I feel like the Galaxy over the summer might make a big move because, you know, they're going to have to do something.
Right. Yeah, I think they will, too.
And I think Atlanta might make a big defensive move. And there's been I don't know if you talked about this, but I saw 2 accounts on Twitter say that Thiago Almada is coming back to Atlanta.
Really?
Yes.
That would be a big signing.
Big
We
signing,
have not
yes.
covered
That'd be
that yet.
surprising.
Yes.
It would be, but honestly, good for the league. Good
Yeah,
for
huge
Atlanta.
for the league. World Cup champion, that's 24 coming back, not a 40-year-old like Messi. You know, it's a big move.
We do have to move on to the other
Oh, yeah,
games.
yeah, no. Of course.
So Miami 3-3 draw with Philly.
I did watch this game, too.
Yeah, so Quinn Sullivan banger early, and then Ty Baribo with a brace.
He's the best.
At this point, it's 3-1.
I will say,
Um,
not fun to watch, but a good player, like a good goal scorer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he never has a goal that's like really impressive.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But he
like,
scores so many that
He's
it
in the
is
right spot
impressive.
at the right
goal
time.
poacher. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he
Like,
is.
Yeah,
He knows where to be.
Honestly,
And he's effort all the time.
And
I
I think this younger Sullivan and the other Sullivan, that'll help a lot. You know, just having him cross the balls into them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think Philly's set up to be pretty good for the next few years.
I think the biggest drawback for Philly right now is at the back,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that is what we saw this game. So Messi scores that free kick in the 87th.
Great
which-
free kick.
beautiful.
Yes, and it's the only way he can score goals. I mean, no kidding. Like, he can't
It's
score
not
on the run
really.
of play at all.
I wouldn't say it's really his fault.
What do you mean? by
I
that?
mean, you know, it seems like when they let the young players play, they play well, but they don't do it a lot. And when you have a bunch of young players playing around Messi, it looks great. But when you have a bunch of 35-year-olds playing around Messi, it looks like a bunch of 35-year-olds playing around Messi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. So I will say, Miami kind of reminds me of. You ever play like a pickup game with like older Mexican dudes, and you can tell they were very good at
Yeah.
some point, but the steps just not like their passes are spot on.
Yeah.
But they're just they don't have the physical ability to finish their idea.
Yeah, because I think it was last double week they played the younger players on Wednesday with Messi, and they looked pretty good. I think they might have won that game too.
Right.
Because that's the game that I think then on the next game they lost to Orlando.
Yeah, embarrassingly.
Yeah,
so.
and then they played that older team again, which didn't make sense to me. You know, if the young team played well, play them again.
Right. Segovia with the equalizer at the like literal last second. And you could tell, like looking at Baribo, they it was kind of rude, honestly. The cameraman zoomed in on Baribo's face the second the final whistle blows.
I was gonna say, did y'all see the Aston Villa Man U game? They did the same thing to the
No, who did they zoom in on?
the Villa manager. Because they lost 2-0 and they didn't make Champions League. They panned it right around to him.
But yeah, so Philly, I need to see it better from the back. Miami, good heart, stayed in it, got a point. And Messi talked about in that last interview, like, we got to be united as a team or whatever.
It's crazy, though. They're still in a good spot, it feels like, even though they've been
because
on a rough
everybody else
patch.
keeps blowing it.
Yeah, well, and we'll get into that. I have the table as it currently stands. That's the next section. But let's move on to the next game. Seattle, 1-0 over Dallas. Rusnak penalty in the 86th was the lone goal. I honestly felt like Dallas looked pretty good. I mean, you go to Seattle, this is a game that you should lose by a lot.
This
if you're
shows you,
Dallas.
though, and there's another game, and I don't remember which one it is, but I'll point it out when we come to it. Bad teams find ways to lose.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what Dallas did. They're a bad team, and they found a way to lose with that ridiculous handball.
This is
Yeah.
a Jesus Ferreira revenge game, right? Isn't he on Seattle?
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Did he play?
He
did,
did.
but he
Gotcha.
came out
I was gonna
after,
say-
like, the 60th or 65th
Yeah,
minute.
I
He
didn't
did
watch
nothing.
much of the game, I won't lie. But
Yeah, he did nothing.
Yeah, so I was at work, and Rusnak should have scored earlier in this game watching this, and I was losing my mind, and customers were like, is that guy okay? And then Rusnak finally hit the penalty, and then I could breathe again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't watched a lot of Seattle. I did not realize Rusnak was some dangerous dude.
Oh, he's
honestly.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
He probably has the most points in fantasy
I was
on
going to
the
say,
season.
he's the most expensive. I didn't realize, honestly.
That is why.
I guess that
Yeah.
shows why I'm
Why
2
you're
and
2 and
12.
12?
Yeah.
But Dallas looked good in the middle, and they look good at the back. What Dallas cannot figure out how to do is convert possession into chances. That is the problem. I honestly felt like their defense looked okay.
Peter Musa play?
He started on the bench.
Yeah,
Really?
he
What in the hell?
He
Gotcha.
did
You already
come
don't
in.
have Lucho, and then you start Moose on the bench.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's the only player I really
This
know.
coach, I
much
don't
of-
even understand some of the moves he makes.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we don't have Lucho. Seattle's pretty good at home. We're going to lose anyway, so let's rest him. We got a double game week next week.
Musa did eventually get in. He really didn't do much, but he only had about 20 minutes.
I was going to say,
to
I see Abubakar did something. Colorado's Abubakar, I believe.
Yeah, that's
so
correct.
Abubakar had a volley in the last second from like 35 out that was a rocket, and
Wow,
he
really?
hit the post square on.
I was
And
gonna
he
say-
fully had the keeper.
He
beat.
is a solid MLS player, honestly.
Yeah, well, and he's one you don't really hear a lot
Yeah,
about.
that's why I was like, I know his name.
He's in Dallas. I think that's why, because I
Yeah.
think he.
Well, he's never really been on a big team. It feels like, I think
Yeah.
I believe he was at Colorado before.
If you put Abubakar on a real team, I think he is a star.
Yeah.
Or at least a player we all know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
Well, you know him because of his stupid hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's for sure too.
But I mean, Seattle should be lucky. This is a sigh of relief game. I would not celebrate this win, but they got it done. They got their 3 at home. San Diego, 2-1 over the Galaxy. Margot Royce with an assist. It seems like he's playing now. Like, this is 2 games in a row where he looks pretty good. Fagundes scored the first goal. San Diego immediately tied it up, and this is something the LA Galaxy has to stop doing.
A Chucky Lozano header at the end is crazy.
There were no defenders near him.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
And it was just Dreyer and Lozano. There was no one else.
Yeah.
And everybody went to Dreyer, not knowing, hey, this Lozano guy, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's in front of the goal by himself.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody should pick him up.
So
yeah, and I mean, I know Dreyer's played better, but Lozano, is really the class of the team.
And he's wide open in front of the goal.
And by the way, this whole play even happens. This should not have happened. It's a ball in the air to
brutal.
Garces. Garces cleared it. I guess it was supposed to be a volley out. He hit it backwards over him to the right.
I will say, when people talk trash about the MLS,
that type of play.
Yeah, this is one of those. It looked like I don't know if you watched the Sunderland game, but it looked something like that when they just passed.
I like to blame that on fatigue when that happens to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely. it probably is in the 94th minute.
No kidding. No, of course it is.
But the word that I would use to describe the LA Galaxy defense there is desperate.
Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire, too. But it really
They only gave up 2 goals, though, to a San Diego team that's pretty good, I feel like.
Shit show.
Well, and so here's the problem with the Galaxy, and this is a big thing.
Oh, did you see the fight, by the way? Sorry. Did y'all see the fight at the San Diego Galaxy?
Get into it. I did not.
I was going to say there was a fight, not with the players, but, the fans in San Diego. I don't know what their problem is with the fans in L.A., but they keep fighting. We got to stop the fighting.
San Diego and L.A. hate each other.
Yeah, we got to stop it. Stop the violence.
But the goal, San Diego's equalizer.
You got Brian off track there.
San Diego's equalizer.
I mean, it's ridiculous what they were doing out there. Y'all won a game 2-1. What y'all doing? You didn't win 4-5-1. Go home.
Yeah.
You're 30 years old. Go home.
But San Diego, their equalizer comes about 5 minutes after the Galaxy opener. They did this last week against LAFC, too. They scored, they got the go-ahead, and then 5 minutes later, Bouanga hits a banger, and now we're tied up. You have to play the whole game. Like, they get a lead, and then they're like, how are we going to blow it now?
Well, yeah, didn't they do... You might have just said... Did you say against LAFC? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, they did the same thing. And, I mean, it was just... guys not stepping up. It's easy defense. If you step up, he's not going to make that shot. I mean, Bouanga, he's a great player, but, he's not known for taking these incredible shots and making them from anywhere.
Do you feel like MLS defenders don't close down space?
No, they don't
easily.
Very well.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really bad. I mean,
like,
most of
you got this.
I feel like it's because
I don't think you can hit it.
Most of them are either 35 or they're 18, 20 years old. Like there's no in the middle. It really feels like.
Well, and it almost so. And you guys won't know Kevin, but he was an assistant coach on a team that me and Landon played on,
Kevin.
and my dad was the head coach.
Shout out Jacob.
Kevin.
Shout out Katie.
But Kevin used to talk about don't give up the easy shot. Like if the guy is 20 out, let him shoot from there because the goalie can handle a shot from 20 out. What we don't want to do is overcommit, and then this pass slips behind you, and now it's a shot from 6. It feels like the MLS is really taking from Kevin's handbook here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I love Kevin, but that coaching style should not be in the MLS.
No.
That's a different thing.
20 yards out.
Well, I mean,
is a high percentage shot.
Yeah, when
at
we
that
were
level.
children, it was not.
Yeah.
It was right.
The thing is, when you think who's the Dean Smith's probably the not best manager, but the most notable manager in the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that Nancy has created a level of mystique.
Yeah, but worldwide,
yeah,
more
that's
people
what.
know
Dean Smith. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, and I mean, there's nobody even close.
Well,
it feels like
Tata's gone.
Yeah,
That's
and I
what I
mean,
was gonna bring up.
Mascherano, he's known, but not as a manager.
No.
And he's been terrible
We've
as a
been
manager.
very
Awful.
critical of
I feel if Tata was still there, they would look a lot better.
They would.
Tata's is one of the best managers.
And we
I feel
talked
in the world.
about
Yeah.
how we think the players wanted him gone, like the little baby NBA players, because they don't want to work, and he would make them work.
The thing is, Tata made Atlanta work. He's the reason they won the championship. I think if they got Tata back, this same team would look amazing. The same team that looks like they don't even want to play for Atlanta.
Yep. I agree. Moving on, Charlotte break the streak at home playing the Crew. Columbus did open the scoring, and then Ajamong with back-to-back goals in 5 minutes. Zaha, great through ball on the second one for the assist. And then Pep Biel with the game winner in the 74th. That was a banger. He had no space to turn there. I will be honest with you. The entire time I was nervous. I didn't feel good until the final whistle blew, literally. But it was nice. This is the Crew. This is a big game.
I want to say something about Nancy.
Save the Crew.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
You look at the lineup pregame, Schulte's in it. Game's going on, and you go, that's not Schulte. Hagen's in. This is the second time this season, this is the second time in the last few weeks, that someone was in the lineup, got hurt during pregame warm-ups that nobody saw get hurt, and then wasn't in the lineup when it actually came out. I think Gazdag a few weeks ago, Schulte this week weren't playing.
We talking about Schulteberg or somebody else?
Schulte
is the goalkeeper.
Gotcha.
Patrick Schulte, the goalkeeper.
I was gonna say I thought Schulteberg played. So.
And a few weeks ago, Gazdag was in the lineup and then didn't play.
Right.
And I think going in, he had no intention of them playing, and maybe they were hurt, and that's why. But he puts out a lineup that has them in it, so the other team doesn't know that they're not playing.
Gotcha. I mean, that's...
And he's doing some shady stuff.
Yeah, that's super common in other sports, but I imagine that's probably not a
but I haven't
good thing
seen
in soccer.
Any other team have a player scratch after the lineup came out.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
he
sure.
just did it twice in like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's not on the up and up. That's the kind of shit Nancy pulls.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
well,
think the MLS should look into it.
he likes doing stuff like that. He's tricky. That's how he would describe it. What I would describe it as is cheating. But here's the thing: you only put out the roster about an hour before the game.
Yeah,
like your actual lineup comes out roughly an hour before.
It is a bit
kickoff.
ridiculous. I know it's common for all leagues and stuff, but in football, I don't have to look an hour before. I get 3 hours, 4 hours before.
Right. Days before you
Yeah.
have an injury report throughout the whole week.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Consistently gets updated.
Yeah, and I know who might play, who might
Yep,
not.
it's one of the reasons.
It seems like in the MLS, it's much.
It's awful.
Yeah.
The information isn't there, and that's why you don't have the big gambling in it, and why fantasy isn't as big.
Yeah, I mean, even in other leagues, if you look at like the Premier League and stuff, you'll see Twitter accounts be like, "Breaking news: this guy's out,"
Yep.
and then you'll see the next morning he's playing.
Right.
And the MLS doesn't realize that this is an issue, and that they could be so much bigger. You have to involve fantasy sports and gambling.
Oh yeah,
to
for sure.
become one of the biggest.
Especially,
leagues.
and I think it really hurts that some games start at 2:30, some games start at 7:30.
It's awful.
I mean, I know
We've complained
football-
about that
football
before.
does one, but it's not one game by itself.
Yep.
Well, and it doesn't bother me as much in football because
You
at
already know.
1 o'clock I know who's playing
Yeah,
at
exactly,
8:30.
yeah.
I don't need to check
Yeah,
the
you
lineup
you
at
look
7:30.
you wake up you're in the morning and you know who's already playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my team was done by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
through all of fantasy football. But yeah, and then Ajamong did get the Apple TV Player of the Match Day. Did want to shout him out for that.
Who gave it to him?
I mean,
Clayton or whatever.
No, the Irish guy is the one who announced it, but Dax and all them
say
agreed.
Bradley Wright Phillips or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean they all.
Are we gonna
agreed.
talk about? I don't know if you guys watched the MLS thing. So
We
many
do.
ugly people in there. You got Bradley Wright Phillips, Dax McCarty.
Yeah.
I mean, come
You don't
on,
love
guys.
Sasha's mustache?
Yeah, I mean Sasha too. I mean, this is ridiculous. Sasha sucked too. He's not even good.
I like him a lot.
I mean,
actually. I think he's a great analyst.
Bradley Wright Phillips was great, at least in the MLS. I mean, Sasha
Yeah.
wasn't even good in the MLS. Atlanta kicked his ass every year.
So I liked Sasha as a player.
I like how he plays.
Yeah, I don't know that
I know you guys
loved
aren't
him
big
'cause he
Dax
was the
McCarty
best.
fans.
Oh, we
No.
hate Dax McCarty
Yeah.
so much.
And I mean-
actually a good analyst though.
Yeah, I like
but
him.
I hated him on the field.
I don't
Oh.
mind watching him play. Visually, though, what an eyesore.
Yeah. yeah.
I will say this: if Dax McCarty signed to Charlotte FC, I think I would start to like him. I like that he's a fucking asshole to the other team.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that he's a
I don't know.
gamer. He's
Yeah.
a player that I hate to play against that I like when I have him.
I think with
Right.
guys like Zaha too, that a guy like him would definitely help. Because Zaha,
Yeah.
I love Zaha. I love watching him play, but he'll play down to talent at certain times
Yeah.
for sure. And if he's not excited about game, he just won't show up to it.
For sure.
Like back when he used to play Man United every week or every year, he would play so hard against them because they didn't sign him when he was
Right.
a youth talent there. So, but it seems like if he doesn't have a grudge against somebody, he doesn't really play that hard.
Yeah. Well, and I will
those
say
are my favorite types of players.
one thing I do like about Zaha, and it will take time, but Zaha has now been in the MLS long enough that he's developing grudges, and I think that's good. He got here not knowing anyone and thinking he was just going to walk all over the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Starting
did,
to-
and that did not happen.
No, and I think that's good for
And
him.
he could really, I think he could.
I do think he's that level of player. I don't think he's like the best striker in the
Oh
MLS.
no,
I'm not
I
a-
think
Not even close.
I think he
No.
could be the best. I think if they put him at winger, I think he could be the best winger.
I think he could, but I think it will
Isn't
take
Bawanga
him.
a winger?
Yeah, Bouanga's
Yeah.
kind of
I think Bawanga's better.
I like
think
Bouanga. I like
Zaha-
Bouanga, but he disappears some games. I think if Zaha was locked in,
Zaha at his
That's
best.
a big if.
yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I think.
Do you know if I was 6'4",
I
would be in the
yeah,
NFL?
I know it's the whole Pogba on his day thing. but
Yeah.
Right.
Zaha on his day is much better than
Which,
Bouanga.
by the way, can I just say, because I kind of I've given up on it. There was all this Pogba transfer to Charlotte rumor news. Is
Yeah.
that just done?
I mean, on his day.
Has he re-signed
But
with
on his
Man
day.
U or anything?
No, he is. I believe he just got out of his suspension not too long ago.
Well, right, but I thought so. I saw a bunch of rumors weeks ago, and we talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
That Pogba was linked to Charlotte
I was gonna
because of
say.
Zaha.
I didn't see this on my fake news Twitter, so I didn't. Really, I only see Thiago Almada news. That's all I see.
Twitter's got you pegged.
Yeah.
That's enough Charlotte talk. So next game up, I don't really have a lot to say about this. DC 2-0 or 2-0 loss rather at home to the Red Bulls. Cornell had a day. He looked
Yep.
awesome.
The college university,
What?
the university Cornell.
Cornell.
Oh, Corin.
Yes.
Gotcha. I was gonna say they did win lacrosse.
He looked great though. Forsberg did have an assist, and honestly, the pass to Harper was kind of a shitty pass. Like he really overled him, but the guy was Harper was so wide open on the overlap that it didn't matter that it was a shitty pass. And then the second goal at stoppage time. So DC had everything to play for up until very late.
Well, and Red Bull had
And at home
Two
for DC,
defensive.
right?
Yeah.
2 defensive players on yellow card accumulation.
Yeah.
One of the Nealis brothers and Noah Isla. So they have 2 starting guys out of the back line, and you still can't score.
I think DC is one of the most heartless teams when it comes to the fans and stuff. It just doesn't seem like DC really cares about their team. Honestly.
I don't. Well, in that, I mean, that city doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Go
But,
Caps.
What I do, I feel like I don't really know what DC's identity is.
That's
like,
for sure,
most
too.
of the teams,
Especially
in the,
without Benteke.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that's
Benteke-
their identity is pass it to Benteke.
And I mean, Benteke,
Get it in
though,
the air. He's taller than everybody else.
That's not a good way to make people want to show up and watch your games. Having Benteke head the ball and get some tap-ins for
Yeah,
a
it's
few
just
goals.
not enough.
Yeah,
Um,
even if they're winning, I mean, that's not it's not an appealing game to watch.
No, but winning.
Yeah, I mean, winning will help for
Yes.
sure.
yeah. LAFC going to Montreal, 2-2, down 2-0 early. Vrioni and Owusu playing together, which you've
We've
been
said,
saying
yeah.
for a while.
How about that?
They go to 2 strikers and they look good. Still can't close because it's Montreal. Giroux equalizes in like the 71st, I think. Which I'll be honest, the Giroux goal was a little fluky, but also good for Giroux. He's scoring now. I mean, this is 3. I think.
Pretty crazy. You can't play like over a Boosie or however you say his name sometimes.
Abobasek.
Yeah, Abobasek, yeah.
Well, so I honestly.
Abobasek and Ordaz.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind
I
of
think
crazy.
Nathan Ordaz has been very good
Yeah,
at
that's what I
it.
mean. They think he's maybe the 3rd striker in their team.
Yeah.
Well, but if you look at even Giroux at the end of Europe, he was the super sub.
Yeah, the
if you
Arsenal
have
days.
if you have Bouanga, Abobasek, and Ordaz, and you think they could score, now we need something at the end. Now bring in Giroux, everybody's tired. He's almost as fast as them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
No,
sub.
and he looks good in that role. I hope
Yes.
he stays a super
Yeah, I
sub
think
and they
it's-
don't convert this into him starting.
Yeah, it's rather
70
if,
minutes is too much for him.
Yeah, it's rather if he's okay playing that role full time. Really,
I think he is. He was at
I think he
Arsenal.
probably is. Yeah, but at Arsenal and LAFC,
I'll take all that
they're-
money to sit on the bench all
Sure.
that time.
Yeah, well, and I don't Giroud, and this might sound silly. I don't know the guy, but he doesn't strike me as a big ego guy if the team's winning. If they're losing and he's not getting in, I'm sure he gets frustrated because
think
I want to help.
It has helped. He's been a part of key parts of any team he's been successful on. Like the World
Yeah.
Cup, he was super successful
Yep.
on that team.
Yep.
So like we haven't really seen until now how he looks.
Yeah, what
when-
successful is at LAFC
Yeah.
for him. And I think one thing that keeps Giroud happy is Lloris is there.
Oh yeah.
I think that alone is so good for his
Somebody he
head.
can speak French with and
Yeah, well, and
do
somebody,
French things.
They won a World Cup, all that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a move. Maybe it looks like the Saudi league's going down. Maybe a Conte, somebody like that, coming to join LAFC.
Yeah, maybe.
I definitely think a French player will definitely come and join that team. at some
Pogba.
point.
Yeah,
Pogba
well, if
maybe.
the-
I mean, Benzema too. A lot of those guys are going to be looking
Yeah,
for a
they're
new
getting
club
older.
soon.
I could see Benzema. Honestly, if the fucking Mbappe slander continues in the Spanish press, he might
Oh,
find
yeah.
his way into the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, one of the best players in the world, and you're hated
If you
because you
think
didn't
the
win
back
everything.
lines
Yeah.
in the MLS are having trouble keeping up with guys,
Mbappe.
Mbappe's so
yeah.
much faster than any of them.
Mbappe
it would
could,
be ridiculous.
Mbappe could play 20 games. He'll get 60 goals. He'll get a hat trick a game, pretty much.
I'm curious what Mbappe's current status is if Lamine Yamal doesn't enter Barcelona.
Oh yeah, I mean, Yamal's probably the greatest player in the world right now, and it looked like Mbappe was going to be that, so I definitely think that changed a lot.
Well, and he's going to be around a long
Yeah.
Yeah.
time.
And I
too.
mean,
He's 17.
Yeah,
He's
and,
only going to get better.
and Mbappe has a lot to do with what Real Madrid does now. Like, I think he has a contract that says he takes every free kick. I'm sure he has a lot to do with
Oh my
what
God.
signings
That's
they do
insane.
and stuff like that.
That's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Players should never have that much clout. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, he scored his first free kick this year, too, a few games ago. So
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If you're going to put it in your contract that you're going to take every free kick.
Well, you better hit those damn things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
dude.
and I mean, clearly you're not a player that other people might want to play with. If that's more important than winning to you.
Right. Next on the list, Orlando shut out Portland at home 1-0. Duncan McGuire goal. Haven't seen him on the score sheet in a little bit.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Well, with Ojeda out, he started.
Yeah. Really the only reason I bring this up is because when we talked about this game last
We thought it
week,
was going to be 4-3.
yeah, we thought it was going to be a shootout. I was not expecting 1-0, and it kind of makes
Orlando
sense.
does that, though.
Yeah, well, and they played tight.
They
Orlando
dictate
just
the
didn't
game,
want to give up a
which
goal.
that's a
Yeah.
good thing as a team when you can dictate the game and they dictate, hey, this is going to be a high-scoring game, and nope, this is going to be really tight and we're going to win 1-0.
Yeah,
And they did that.
They seem to play other than this week, Cincinnati seems to kind of play that way too, where they kind of, don't want to give up a lot of goals and kind of want to keep it a 1-2 goal game.
Yeah, well, until, by the way, they're playing Atlanta, and they're hemorrhaging goals, and they're like, now we're just going to shoot from anywhere. on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. Evander, help us.
And I mean, if that happens in the playoffs, to a team like Orlando and they get punched in the mouth, how are they going to react?
Right. No, for sure. And I'm curious to see, because, Portland, I love Portland, and they do have a great attack, but Portland is not a top team necessarily. Orlando did it against Miami, but honestly, Miami in current form, I don't consider a top team. I do want to see Orlando against a Cincinnati soon. I want to see them against a Crew, something like that. I want to see them against
Atlanta will be pretty
Vancouver.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think
like seeing against
Atlanta
Vancouver.
coming up will be pretty interesting. to
Yeah,
see.
no, that should be a good
That's a
game.
rivalry game.
And
I think.
we'll get into those. Nashville 2-1 in Toronto. I don't really care about this one, but I did want to bring it up because
Not even a little.
last week Surridge and Hani were two guys that I said could go off. Surridge did have 2 goals, and Hani, he was denied from close 3 times by Sean Johnson. Hani should have had a hat trick this game, and Sean Johnson just took it in his own hands.
Sean Johnson, when he's obviously on his day again, but he's
Yeah.
one of the best goalkeepers. Him and Andre Blake, when they're playing well,
No, I totally agree. Toronto did have a consolation goal late. It was a banger, but it didn't really matter. Next up, Kansas City 3-3 draw against New England. Everything was kind of about the I don't know this player.
Oh yeah, I read some stuff about
Gadi kinda.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is. I didn't watch.
Yeah,
Kansas
he played
City.
for
he just
Kansas
played
City
there
back in the day.
as
yes.
recently as 2023.
Yeah,
I think.
he had a goal in the playoffs for them, I believe, against one of the teams in 2022 or 2023.
But he passed, so there was a whole memorial thing around this game. And New England said, "We don't give a fuck." 2-0 up, 53rd minute. And then Daniel Shalhoub scores the first.
Shallowy,
thank you.
who looks like a rat. If I've ever seen a person that looks like a rat.
Shallowy goal, penalty kick 3 minutes later, and then 4 minutes later, another Kansas City goal, 3-2 now. So in the course of 9 minutes, all of a sudden they're up. New England equalized in the 83rd. One thing I did notice watching the highlights back, and go back and watch, correct me if I'm wrong, every New England goal, it's not always the same players, but it is the same play. Through ball down the wing to a ground cross, like cutback into the center. If you can just stop the through ball, New England will never score again. Like, it seems to be the only way they score. I have also seen Carlos Heel just rip one from 18 out, and I guess that's where they go to when the through ball's not working.
It's also in any sport easy to say, well, if you can just stop that, that's what they do. But if they're so good at that, even when you know it's coming, you still can't stop it sometimes.
Stop a Jordan Burroughs blast double.
Well, it's one of the toughest plays to stop.
And nobody
really.
gets that reference.
That's the perfect example.
Yeah. I know it's coming. It doesn't matter.
Because you have to stop, your full momentum going that way, and you have to stop back and play defense.
Yeah. Well, that's why you can't stop it at the cutback.
Yeah.
You need to stop it
You
at
have
the
to
through
basically read it, too.
Once the through ball goes and he's on it, you just have to hope.
Yeah, and you have to have a wing back or either a defensive mid come in and basically play up it to the 18 or the 12-yard.
Yeah.
Landon, do you know who Jordan Burroughs is?
Jordan Burroughs. Is that Joe's brother?
No.
He's an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, his last name
like
is
Kurt
plural.
Angle.
He is like Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he win with a broken neck?
He did not.
Oh.
No, he
Kurt
didn't.
Angle did.
Yeah, I know. That's how you get in the WWF,
Yeah.
which is what it was called back then.
Yeah, he had a huge neck. You could tell it broke.
Next game on the list, Minnesota 1-1 at home versus Austin. Honestly, to me,
Disappointing.
This is a Minnesota loss as far as I'm concerned.
Terrible.
I will say Minnesota, are they kind of playing the way they played before? Are they kind of playing above their talent a little bit?
Honestly,
I think they're playing down to their opponents is
and
what they're doing.
I was just like, I know their team is talented, but is it as talented as some of the other talented
It's
teams?
more talented than Austin FC.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So I think Minnesota, I'll say this, because it's not guys that we know from other teams,
For sure, yeah.
right? But what I will say, Yeboah is from the Crew, and they were good.
Yeah.
You've got
Oluwaseyi.
Oluwaseyi.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Robin Ludd.
Well, yeah.
Lungwane. Ludd's been MIA this whole season, but he was signed
of
as
late,
the guy.
actually, the last 3 to 5 weeks, he's
Better.
actually woken up.
That's fair. But a lot of the guys on Minnesota, it's funny because you don't think of them as star power because I know them from Minnesota.
Yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
I know these guys. But I don't think that's a bad thing. They are a good team. And I don't care who you are. 1-1 at home versus Austin is not what you want. If you're fucking the LA Galaxy, you should be
I was going to say,
upset with this
LA Galaxy would love that result.
Atlanta stole
It's a
1-1
result.
from them at Austin, so.
Yeah.
And they suck.
I didn't say that.
Next game on the list, Colorado 1-0 over St. Louis. This game actually, so it got stopped 6 minutes in for weather. Then they restarted.
God forbid.
St. Louis should have opened the scoring on a counterattack.
Can't hit.
No. So Nico Hansen made a crazy save here. This was, I don't even think the striker did that much wrong. Nico Hansen
Was that Klaus's shot?
Yeah. Nico Hansen had a great day today.
I was going to say, Klaus is probably one of the only players on St. Louis I truly know. I won't lie about that.
Leuven.
Leuven, yeah.
Don't they have a goal?
Yeah.
Or did they get rid of Berkey?
No, he's still there.
I
He
was
was
gonna
hurt
say
a lot of
Berkey.
the
Yeah, I know
season.
Berkey. He was
But
on
he's back now.
Dortmund too.
Yeah.
Yapi was the goal scorer, who I actually didn't even know until this game. But it was a scramble in the box. I mean, he found the goal, so I'll say that. But I mean, it wasn't anything pretty.
It's a Baribo type goal.
Yeah, definitely. But nonetheless, 1-0 Rapids picked up 3 points. Real Salt Lake absolutely blowing a 2-0 lead at home. 2-0 up in the 4th minute. The first goal was in the 1st minute. The second goal was in the 4th minute. Brian White in the 20th minute, goal off a corner. And then eventually Willie got a handball in the box to hand Brian White the equalizer.
So remember how excited we were about Willie Agata, that now Luna had somebody?
Yeah.
He's gotten a red card. He's gotten a handball in the box to lose the game. He is really...
No, he's not been what he was supposed to be. And then the 90th minute goal to win, Pedro Vite, banger again, 20 yards out, almost outside curve because he's going right to left. I don't know if it curved or if it went dead straight. I didn't get a good angle on it, but it's top corner and it's on its way up when it gets to the goal. Like, he crushed that ball. Honestly, if you're Vancouver, 3-2 is not the scoreline you wanted, but they found a way to win.
A win is a win on the road.
That's
a win
what
is a win,
Vancouver-
period. And on the road, who gives a shit?
Well, and this is just what Vancouver does. Like, they find a way to win the game. There's very few teams in the MLS that could be down 2-0 in the 4th minute.
They're the anti-Dallas.
They really are. Moving on, NYCFC 3-1 over Chicago. Honestly, it should have been more. This was a terrible game from Chicago.
2 red cards for Chicago, right?
Yeah.
2 red cards.
The first one, I thought, we talked about it, and you said you didn't
Yeah.
think it was. It absolutely was. You talked about a header. There was no header or anything around there.
So
that was blatant and ridiculous. And because he
jumps-
looks like he's 14 years old, he thinks he can get away with shit that nobody thinks he does bad things in a game. That was ridiculous.
So his arm comes through. I mean, he definitely hit him in the face. It was an elbow.
What is he jumping for? He jumped only to get his elbow up to his face.
Well, the ball was near them, was it not?
It was not in the air.
I would have to go back and look at it. So what I remember was he misses the ball up. He jumps too early. Ball's passed. He's already in the air, and then comes the elbow.
You need to watch it again.
I'll rewatch. Regardless, it was a red. I mean, hands to the face is a red. It doesn't matter the contact.
It was on purpose, though, too.
Yeah, and I think
completely on purpose.
To be honest, I think it probably was. I will also say, if it was a yellow, I would have been okay with it.
No. It was blatant, and he's a dipshit. Why are you putting yourself in that situation?
Yeah.
And
Silly
what's so
chance.
funny is whenever that happens, you never hurt the guy enough to make it worth it to get the red. So why are you putting yourself in a situation to get that? Now, if you're going to knock him out, if you're going to make him really feel that, you broke his jaw or something. Okay. But you didn't do anything that hurt him. He was fine to continue the rest of the game.
Yeah.
He wasn't hurt at all, and you got a red.
Well, and I'm
You're
going
an
to be
idiot.
honest. If you literally made him stand still and let Gutierrez wind up and throw a haymaker, he still couldn't hurt someone bad
No.
enough.
Gutierrez doesn't have a haymaker.
No. But it's 1-0 Chicago. Zinkernagel on a shot where, I mean, basically all the NYC defenders drop
It was
back.
terrible. Close down space.
Yeah, I mean, they're dropping back thinking it's going to be a pass in, and Zinkernagel's just wide open on this, like, late run.
And I thought that was actually savable, too.
I did as well.
I thought
So
Freeze looked lazy there.
Freeze was too far left, and then instead of diving right, like actually jumping, he just kind of fell and covered. But it wasn't enough. I mean, goal, it was a nice shot, but it could have been saved. 1-1 off Tyler Wolff's goal, and then a very controversial penalty.
That I didn't think was. And I didn't think it should have been a yellow.
Yeah, and
And
it was
his
a
second
second yellow. If you call the penalty, you got to give a yellow, honestly. I mean, very rarely do you see
Well, it's
a
almost
penalty.
by rule.
Yeah, I mean, you never see a penalty that's not a yellow. So, once you say that's a foul.
Well, no, because he got ball first. So if you're still calling it a foul, it's
Right.
because his studs are up and it was
And
dangerous and all of that. So then it would be a yellow.
I'll say this, it was a weird challenge because he steps on the ball.
He
And then
does, but he
kinda
didn't step on the player.
Right.
I
To
didn't
me, it's
think-
not enough for a pen.
No.
I think that's a kind of a common foul given, but I don't really necessarily agree with it.
Right.
Yeah, well, and their legs get tangled. Like, I get the argument, but if you touch the ball first, if I slide and I touch the ball first and then I take you the fuck out,
Oh yeah.
I touch the ball first.
And his
it's a
studs
clean
weren't
challenge.
up. His studs were down, and he
Yeah,
stepped
studs were
on the ball.
floor.
Yeah.
But that leads to the second goal and then third goal late. Next up, San Jose, Houston. So, Houston's up. Hold on. I'm an idiot. Wait, down 2-0. San Jose put on Judd to help Josef Martinez. Yes. So
Yeah.
Houston's up 2-0.
Josef Martinez.
Yeah.
San Jose,
Yeah.
they put on Preston Judd because Josef Martinez is getting frustrated.
Not
Equalized.
his fault.
He
Judd
should have
has-
scored on some of those. I mean,
Yeah.
it was him and the keeper, and then he just put it right into him. And it
Yeah.
was like, what are we doing?
Martinez should have had a better day, but Judd coming on, Josef stays marked, and Judd gets a lot more space than he really should. He has a brace quick.
Because he's start player.
And then, honestly, it looked like they were back. I thought San Jose was going to win this game. Griffin Dorsey, yet again, with the equalizer, 90th +1 to get back. So,
It seemed like a lot of games went down to the wire this week.
yeah, there was a lot of stoppage time goals.
Because there's bad defenses. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
I mean, even the Atlanta game, even though it was 4-2, it went down to the wire too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
for
TRA
sure.
goal was 3-2, and then
Yeah.
he scored at the end to kind of put it away. But it was still a game. Until
Yeah.
then.
I do want to quickly, and we're not going to do this every week, but every couple weeks I want to check in on the table just to talk about it because we're getting towards that halfway mark of the season. So in the East, Philly sitting on top with 30 points, Cincinnati 29, Nashville, Orlando, and Columbus tied for third, basically, all with 27 points. NYCFC on 24 and 6th, Miami in 7th with a game in hand, 23 points, Charlotte with 22, and then the Red Bulls with 21. Now, that's your top 9 playoff spots. Just outside of playoff contention, New England with 2 games in hand. So even though they're in 10th, they're not really because they have a pretty cakey lineup this week. I think they can get at least 1, if not 2 wins here.
I mean, even they drew both games, they would be right with the Red Bulls still.
Right. Chicago on 19 points, also with a game in hand, so not as much room to jump up as New England, but certainly something. Atlanta on 14, DC also on 14, and then Toronto 13, and Montreal down at the bottom with just 8 points right now.
There's a pretty big gap right there.
Yeah, that's a huge gap.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still plenty of time, but those teams down at the bottom will definitely have to start making a run now.
Yeah. No, and honestly, I would say Montreal at this point, you're
done.
You're
And
done.
I mean, Toronto, I feel the last few weeks, they don't feel like they're on 13 points. They feel like they've been playing pretty well.
Yeah, no, and it all happened recently. That's the problem. They just started so slow.
Yeah.
In the West, Vancouver topping it, 31 points with a game in hand. So the potential for that to be...
Yeah, they're up
They
4
could-
with a game in hand.
They can make a pretty large
That's
gap
some
right
Liverpool
there.
shit right there.
Yeah. San Diego sitting in second with 27. Minnesota just behind him with 26. LAFC, Seattle, and Portland all tied on 23, trying to get to that 4th place spot. Then we've got Colorado with 22. San Jose and Austin tied for 8th with 19 points. San Jose just edging them out on goal differential there. Then outside of the playoffs, Houston on 17. Dallas on 16 with a game in hand.
They get Lucho back and have him and Musa
Could
in the
be-
game together at some point.
Yeah, really. I still, honestly, even with the game in hand, I don't have a lot of hope for Dallas to
No.
get into this playoff thing.
No, they just don't seem to be able to put it together.
Their saving grace is they are in the West.
Yeah, the West is not deep at all.
Yeah, I mean, Austin is technically in a playoff spot, and
And that's
they suck.
bananas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if some of those teams on the East were in the West, they would probably be looking a lot better.
For sure. Dallas, then Real Salt Lake, 14 points. Kansas City, 13. St. Louis with 11. And the LA Galaxy on 4 points after 15 games.
Pretty impressive.
Absolutely shocking.
You have to try to be that bad.
Yeah. And that team isn't that bad. Like
No.
So let's get into last week's fantasy team. Typically we just kind of do both, but Landon.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to see yours.
Yeah.
Here's yours.
Yeah,
No, I think
so
we're
you're up
good.
there.
I don't think we need to see that.
Walk us through what the fuck happened here.
So I love DC at home. I thought there wasn't going to be a lot of goals. I was checking the.
I actually like DC a lot.
I was checking
I had him.
I was gonna take Morel, and then I was thinking Piglow too.
Well, I check the gambling sites usually, and I check the over/under on goals, and the under was highly getting betted. So I was like, DC, at home, probably that'll be the good guys to go with. And then Minnesota, I don't really remember, but yeah, clearly didn't work out. San Diego, I didn't go San Diego at first, but they've been playing well, so I was like, I'll start playing some San Diego players. And Dreyer's been playing pretty well, but
Yeah.
kind of, I guess he got the assist at the end, but didn't play great, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Dreyer had 8 points. Not terrible, but
Yeah.
certainly not what you want out of your best midfielder.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
I was
Schaffelberg, I
about
kind of
to-
played just to make it work money-wise, salary-wise. And I mean,
Gotcha.
Schaffelberg plays well for Canada. I guess he doesn't care about the MLS.
I
but-
like him a lot, actually.
Yeah.
He makes a lot happen. He just doesn't get on the score sheet himself.
Yeah.
A lot of the goals, he probably has a lot of key passes. A lot of the goals stem from something he did.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get on the score sheet for it.
Yeah. And I was feeling pretty good about Quinn Sullivan. He scored
gonna
right
lean
in
back.
the first, 12 minutes. And I guess that's all he did, right? Cause
That is all he did.
And then Messi, I feel like you're stupid if you don't, you feel like you're dumb if you don't play Messi. So I kind of always have to play him, I feel like.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
it's
get
like,
that.
obviously, I should have played Messi. And then Arungo.
Okay, so Chicho Arango's been hurt for
Yeah.
2 games now.
Yeah.
So if you didn't spend $13 million on a guy that's hurt and isn't going to play, you probably didn't have to start Schaffelberg. You would have had some more money.
Yeah. I probably would have gone
That would have helped.
I probably would have gone with my man Latte Lot. But I'm trying to stay off Atlanta. I'm fiending for Atlanta.
yeah, I
players,
get
but I'm
that.
trying to stay off of them. And
No, we
Muriel,
never play Charlotte players, actually.
Muriel has been playing pretty well, so I was like, it's got to be a good start.
I expected more out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a bad pick.
I thought the Orlando in general would probably have 2-3 goals, so that was a little disappointing. And that goalie I keep putting on my bench keeps playing, but I don't know what's up with that.
Earl Edwards Jr.?
Yeah.
Well, have you thought
And
about
stays at $4 million.
Yeah.
not playing him and maybe putting someone
I don't
else
know.
there?
I like
Well, you
I
probably
like the
don't have
name-
enough money for a keeperoo, right?
Probably not.
That
And I
would
like
help
the name
you.
Earl
Yeah.
Edwards Jr. It's a great name.
Used to
It
be
is a
on New
good one.
England.
Shout
That's
out.
true.
And then went with Bruce Arena to San Jose,
Yeah.
which half that team.
In the DeJuan Jones camp.
Yeah.
45 points overall.
I mean, not bad, right? That's pretty decent. And I mean, after last
I'm
week,
pretty sure it was the lowest in the
after last
league.
week we needed a little
Definitely close.
little comeback.
So the second lowest in the league was 69, and you had 45.
Eek.
That's slander. This isn't real. They're lying. To me.
Just for comparison, John, how'd you do last week?
So I had 74. That's not right. I had 70.
Ha! Well, there you go.
Oh, no.
That's
Okay.
not very good.
So hold on. No, I did have 74. It was 70 before the adjustments.
Oh, did you lose?
Gotcha.
I did lose. I lost to my wife, actually.
Oh, I beat her last week. That shows how.
Well, I'm 9-5, and you're 2-12.
That's not bad.
Okay. So I started with Brosing gold, just
Yeah.
like Landon did.
I get the number
but
one
I put him
pick
on the
right.
bench for a keeperoo.
Oh gosh.
Did you just say number one pick?
Yeah, I
There's
get
no
the number.
draft.
I get the number one pick right now.
So, and then I had Takeoka when he didn't get the clean sheet, who also didn't. So, keepers and defense
You
did not work out well
five
for me.
back.
Yeah, but these are DNPs, so I do
was
a
gonna
I
say.
do a double auto-roo.
It's pretty cowardly.
So 2 of the best 3 guys off my bench play instead of that.
Do you know that rule, by the way?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I read about it.
Making sure.
Yeah.
Because you're not using it at all.
So
Mm-mm.
I like
I mean-
DC a lot.
That's not how it works to me.
I like DC a lot, and I was not confident Herrera was going to play 60,
Right.
and so I didn't go with him. And when I was looking, Schnegg was the guy who completely, just in double game weeks, he plays both. And so I thought for sure he would. He did, and he got -1 point, so that was cool. I had Ali Ahmed. I liked Vancouver scoring and defending, so you got to like Ahmed there.
Yeah,
he got
course.
1, so combined they got 0. And then Boxel,
Couldn't beat me.
thankfully I took him. I was going to take Longwani, and he didn't start, so then I took
Yeah.
Boxel, and then Boxel had the goal. They didn't get the clean sheet, but he had the goal, so he had 9. And he was my
Boxel's
saving.
expensive, isn't he?
Yeah.
9.3. Longwane's
cheap.
more.
Yeah, Longwani is more.
That sounds like
And so's Romero on Minnesota.
I like spending $6 million on my defenders.
Well,
We
you're
can
not
tell.
going to get much with that.
Shout out Yedlin.
So midfield was okay. I had Rusnak in that early game, and he got 11 thanks to that PK at the end.
Yep.
I had Dreyer. I had Mihailovic, 8 and 5 respectively. And I really thought Heel
Did he
had.
not make the U.S. team, Mahalovic?
I don't know if he did.
Let's see.
Sorry,
I'll
I didn't.
let
I
you
didn't.
keep talking.
Yeah, I
That's
was gonna
okay.
say- sorry, I didn't mean
So
to.
Heel ran off like 5 or 6 double-digit games in a row.
Yeah.
And then had a single-digit week, and I thought, well, he's going to get back, and he didn't, and he had 5. So he was my captain. I thought he had the highest floor, and I felt safe with him as my captain, but he didn't. He had 5, so I had 10 for him. I had Baribo up top, 13 points. He's the best. If they just keep him in enough of the game, he's great.
No Mihailovic. on
Then
the
with
national
my
team.
2 scrubs in that 5-4-1 back line, so that I only play 3 defenders, I had McGlynn, Alonso Martinez, and Messi on the bench. Originally, I had Lozano instead of Messi, and I was like, Messi has had like 3 or 4 bad fantasy weeks in a row. He's Messi. This can't continue.
That's what I was thinking.
And it continued.
His name's
Yeah.
Messi.
And now he's got a double game week coming up at home. And again, you got to go, he can't continue. He's
yeah,
got
for
to.
sure.
But I don't know what is happening. And you have to take Messi this upcoming week. And yet I could see him doing this again.
Yeah.
Although a 7 isn't terrible.
Yeah.
It's just terrible for Messi.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
You know, so if Mihailovic got a 7, I probably would have been fine. If
Yeah.
McGlynn got a 7, I probably would have been fine. So
I think you like both teams in any Miami game going on for the most part.
Yeah,
'Cause
really.
They're going to give up a lot of goals, but they're also probably going to score a few too.
For sure. Did you have anything else on that?
nope.
Cool. So my team, 79 points. Good week, but it should have been better. So I had Baratza in on my bench. When he shit the bed, I put in Matt Freeze, and then he shit the bed too. So 2 points back there. Ali Ahmed, Blackman, and Ceballos on the back line with 1, 2, 3 points respectively.
Defense was tough this week. There's only
Yeah.
3 clean sheets.
No, well,
and they
I'm-
were not from teams you would have
I'm
expected.
so mad at myself because Alex
Except
Freeman
Orlando.
was in my lineup and I took him out. He's really the only defender that I was going to play that I didn't. I thought about Nuhu, but honestly, I thought about that like 15 minutes before the Seattle kickoff. And anytime I want to play someone just before kickoff, I usually don't because I think I only want to play him because it's about to happen. Like, my hunches get stronger as we get closer to kickoff almost. So I try to lay off those last-minute changes. Midfield, so Rusnak I had captained. That's really what saved me this week because that was 22 points. That was huge. Carlos Heel and Ojeda on the pitch. Dad texted me Ojeda wasn't starting, and I didn't see it until
Twice.
the game started.
I've
I
never
texted him twice.
never gotten a text like that, by the way.
Now when the game started, I was like, hopefully Ojeda just won't come in, and then I'll play bench players. He got in late for 1 point.
Of course he did.
Not bad.
Yeah, not great either, but hey, at least it wasn't a -1.
Yeah, 1 point. That's pretty good.
Up top, I had Martinez and Baribo on the pitch with 10 and 12, and then my bench, I had Evander, Dreyer, and Bawanga. Evander with 12 and Dreyer with 8, so they're the ones that played. Bawanga with 7, so still a good game. Just didn't happen to get in. Honestly, so if I put Evander in for Ojeda, yes, it seems like I get way more points, but I already got Evander's points, so we're talking about a 6-point difference because it's Bwanga that would have played instead of Ojeda. Now, I may have had another midfielder that played more, but assuming with these guys, I just take Ojeda out, it would have been an 85. Honestly, I'm okay. Every week, there's going to be a thing that you go, if I would have done this. Now, you'd like it not to be a I didn't check my lineup thing. You want it to be...
Embarrassing.
Yeah, but, hey... still the highest of us for the week. Got to win.
Wait, I wasn't higher?
No, you were not.
Times 2, though.
Moving back up. So I'm 1,437th overall, so back in the top 10% of players.
Oh.
That's big. Dropping out of the top 10 makes it really hard to get on YouTube and tell you guys to listen to me. So I'm glad we're back up. John, where are you ranked right now, by the way?
So let me pull up mine.
So... For Charlotte, for the week I was 65 overall. I'm 42, which is actually just a step back. I was 41 last week. Overall, I'm 1499, which is just a step back from last week. I was making a charge because remember I was as far back as 5,500.
Yeah,
and it's literally been better. This one I took 4 spots back. I was like 80 something for the Champions League for this session. Now I'm 370, which isn't bad. That's still striking distance. And we got another double game week coming up.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get it into that top 50
This is a chance
week.
for big points. If you are in Champions League contention, this is definitely a week that you can jump ahead. We are going to get into next week's fantasy, but first, because we have been doing an hour and 17, how do we feel about a pee break, everybody?
Yeah, I'm
cool with that.
All right. We'll see you after the break.
I was going to say I'm 5,500, by the way.
5,500.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not bad.
We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back from the break. I'm going to go ahead, just like always, we'll run through all the games next week, and then we'll talk about offenses, defenses, that kind of stuff. But double game week this week, so starting Wednesday night at 7:30, we have Cincinnati playing Dallas, DC United, New England Revolution, then Miami, Montreal, NYCFC, Houston, New York Red Bulls, Charlotte, Toronto, Philly, Atlanta United, Orlando. Then we move to 8 o'clock for some fucking reason. Columbus Crew, Nashville. Then we move to 8:30. Austin, RSL. Seattle, San Diego. Then we move to 10 o'clock. LA Galaxy.
Obviously.
LA Galaxy, San Jose. Then we move to 10:30. Portland, Colorado. And Vancouver, Minnesota. By the way, I do this the same way every week, but the first team is always the home team as I go through these, so in case you were wondering. Then we get to Saturday, second games now for people. St. Louis kicks it off at 2:30 with San Jose visiting. Then at 4:30, we've got Nashville, NYCFC. 7:30, Red Bulls, Atlanta, Cincinnati, DC. Then we've got Inter Miami, Columbus Crew, Montreal, New England, Orlando, Chicago, Toronto, Charlotte FC. Then we go to 8:30. We have Dallas playing the Union. Also at 8:30, the Dynamo playing Sporting Kansas City. Then we move to our 10:30 kickoff games. We've got the LA Galaxy playing RSL and San Diego playing Austin, leaving just one game on Sunday at 6 p.m. in Seattle, Minnesota on the road. So big games. John, walk us through it. Who do you like this week? What are the numbers saying?
Okay, so a few things. I want to talk about the teams that aren't playing on that first leg and aren't playing in the second leg, okay? So in the first leg, Chicago, Kansas City, LAFC, and St. Louis are not playing. In the second leg, Vancouver, Portland, Colorado, and then again LAFC aren't playing. Mm-hmm. So they're playing Club America in a playoff to get into the Club World Cup that nobody cares about. Yeah. So
I mean, Club America, one of the biggest teams in the world, has to play in a playoff.
Yeah, that's kind of. So LAFC, if you want scrubs, there's the perfect team because they're not playing. So everybody is safe. But I would avoid all of those teams. The only thing I would recommend with those teams is the ones that are playing in the second leg, I guess you'd say. If you had players that didn't play in the first, or now it's a 1-1, or they got 1 point, it's a 1-1, and they were on your bench, now you might want to replace a scrub on the field with someone from one of those teams if you think they're going to be better. But for the most part, with your initial lineup, I would avoid all of those teams.
It seems like there's some pretty good teams, but it seems like not enough to where you could find some players to play a double spot for sure.
Yeah, so double home, okay, and we know I like to hone in on the double home. Yep. FC Cincinnati, that's huge. Also, LA Galaxy, maybe offensively.
Yeah, they love
Inter Miami. I just said Messi. A double home. He's one of the few teams on a double home. If he shits the bed again, it'd be bananas. Red Bull and Seattle Sounders and Toronto, but I don't care about them, so that's why they got left behind. Double aways, Real Salt Lake, Philly, New England, Minnesota, and Charlotte. Those are your double aways.
Some of those teams seem to, the way that style play, it doesn't seem to matter whether they play away or home.
Yeah. That's true. And, Vancouver allows just over a half a goal per game at home, which is tied for the best in the league at home with LAFC.
Yeah.
So there are teams, but overall,
for the most
part, teams are better at home, scoring and
sure.
defensively. So for me, I definitely like FC Cincinnati players.
Yep.
The numbers go to them, attacking and defensively. Red Bull, actually, all dark green. We know my scoring system, dark greens,
so
all dark green.
Guys like Forsberg, guys like that, Choupo-Moting.
For me, it's Choupo-Moting and Coronel. I hate Forsberg, and I won't play him.
Gotcha. What about
That's an episode we had.
The Nealis or the brothers? Are they both still out?
And Isla. I actually have Valencia.
Gotcha. I was going to say, he's slightly more expensive, isn't he? But I guess for the attacking.
But he'll get attacking, yeah. So, Miami. Really? It's just Messi, maybe Suarez, but even he hasn't done much.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably been more disappointing, you could say, than Messi, really.
Yeah, well, and one thing you always have to worry about with Miami is, are they both going to play both games? I mean, Messi, you'd have to imagine is going to play both, but Suarez, I could see coming in as a sub in the second game or in the first game to get him ready for the second game. I mean, they really do shit like that.
And they seem to have been fine without him, really. Like, the games where they have to play another guy.
They love Allende right now. I don't think Suarez is the only striker by any means.
Yeah.
So. The Philadelphia Union defensively, Orlando, even though they're not, and Philly's away, but defensively, the numbers are in their favor. Orlando's a home away, and attacking, the numbers are in their favor. Seattle, defensively, the numbers are in their favor. Attacking-wise, they score 2.5 goals per game at home.
Seattle?
Yeah.
Wow.
Their
that
opponents,
is a tough place to play, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, their opponents allow 1.33 goals per game, which is fine, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But still, I have Rusnak this week.
Yeah.
So those are the teams that I'm keying in on. Do you want to do your players first? You want Landon to do his?
I'll do mine. So, and honestly, a lot of what you said is what I have. So I've got Celentano at the back right now. No Keeperoo because it's a double game week, so there's really not much to be gained from a Keeperoo because even if he doesnst get the clean sheet the first week, if you trust him to get the clean sheet the second week, you should just leave the guy in. That's how I've always played keepers on a double. Backline, I've got Robinson right now. I did have Orejano originally, but I'd like to free up some money because as I get closer, things might change here.
And look at Orejano's numbers. They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
he never gets the scoring bonus.
I don't think...
And Miles Robinson had a goal last game.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if he's going to score again so quickly, but he could, and I just have no faith in Orejano right now to do it, so...
Yeah, it was a revenge game, by the way, for Miles Robinson, so...
Yeah, no, that's also true. I've got Kai Wagner next to him. He's probably going to stay, even though he's expensive.
The numbers say Wagner. I can't afford him.
I was going to say, I haven't been keeping up with Wagner as much as he's still been as good as he was last year.
Yeah.
So attacking-wise, yes. Defensively, honestly,
they don't get clean sheets, but his numbers...
Gotcha.
Yeah, even with no clean sheets, his numbers are very good.
He's averaging over 6 points per game.
Oh, wow.
He's the most expensive defender at the moment. And then I've got Alex Freeman right now just because he's a goal threat. I think Orlando could catch a clean sheet here, certainly. But I really picked him because he's a more attacking defender. Then through the midfield, 2 scrubs on the back line. Through the midfield, I've got Evander captained right now, and he's definitely going to stay as my captain. I feel really good about that. I've got Rusnak in, and then I've got Diego Luna in right now as well.
With the double away game, right?
Yeah, I love Diego Luna. The whole team goes through him. So if RSL does well, so does Diego Luna. That just seems to be how it happens. On the bench right now, I have Carlos Heel and Jack McGlynn. I don't know if McGlynn is going to stay there. If anyone comes out, it'll be him. And then up top, I've got Baribo. Right now, I have Martinez. I'm not super confident in. The reason he's on the field is because I have Messi on the bench right now. There's a chance I switch to another striker. Thought about Denke, honestly, but I have Celentano, and I don't want to give up Celentano.
And he had a tough game last week. Obviously, this could be a bounce back.
Yeah, so I thought Denke probably bounces back here, but I really do want Cincinnati keeper and defender, and I'm not getting rid of Evander. So that forced me into other options because you only get 3 from a team. I will say, Martinez and Diego Luna, Martinez and McGlynn, those are the 2 that could change. Everything else here I feel pretty solid about, though. Landon, who do you got right now?
Gotcha. Let me pull it out.
This fucking guy. He took his phone out, so it was prepared.
Okay, we got it. Celentano, as you said, I believe.
Yep.
We got my boy Yedlin, obviously, 5.9 million.
What's his average right now?
I don't think that matters. 3 points, 3.2. Not
That's
bad.
not great.
Not bad though.
Why is Landon in last place?
And then we got Flores from FC Cincinnati too.
Gotcha.
And then Jordi Alba, because I think he'll keep playing it in attacking positions.
I don't hate Jordi Alba this week, actually.
So you don't have Denke or Evander then?
No, sir.
You went with 2 Cincinnati defenders.
Yeah, I might change it, but
That is bold.
yeah, I thought I watched Denke play last week, and
I was thinking
he didn't move me.
You being on the show might make you much better at fantasy following this week.
And then at midfield, I got Dreyer. Obviously, every week I've been playing him pretty much. Got Royce for now. Feel like
Bold.
he's been playing pretty well. I
don't dislike it, but bold.
I don't hate LA this week, actually.
Attacking.
They have 2 home games against San Jose,
that's what I was looking
who
at.
lets up a ton of goals.
Yeah, that's what
and
I
against
thought.
Real Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I don't hate them this week.
No, I don't either. It's just really hard for me to bet on Marco Royce right now.
Oh yeah, he is one of the technically more gifted players, but he's a bit slow. So
Yeah.
and
And by the way,
Is
did you
Payne
see?
still a midfielder in the game? He
I believe-
is. I would go Painsel over Royce.
I was gonna say
and he's cheaper.
I was gonna say I might change it depending on
He's
how the
$3 million cheaper.
Yeah, I was gonna say how the lineups look. I'll probably change it so then I
$3
can
million cheaper.
because I got some other options that.
Well,
could be
and that's
more,
big
'cause-
for you because you're broke as shit.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, because then I could put Flores out and maybe play Evander or something
Right.
like. And then I got Bernadeschi.
Gotcha.
Because I think Toronto's double home, right? Too.
He's got Royce. Yes, they are. He's got Royce and Bernadeschi. It's
Yeah.
like the all-villain team.
Yeah, that's the work rate team right there, 100%
Yeah.
work.
The all-effort team.
But then I got
Rudy.
I got the actual total effort guy. I got Miggy Almiron at my other midfield.
Well, there you go.
I thought you didn't take Atlanta players.
I didn't until I watched them play yesterday.
Okay.
What a game. And then I got Messi captain right now. We'll probably change that. I think it's just a nice spot. And, as I said, I'm not going to look dumb not playing Messi. So.
Right.
And
I
then
do think you have to play him.
I got Muriel still at the other striker.
I had Muriel at one point. And
I
I
think-
think he's going back in for Martinez.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if Atlanta plays well, I think the game could be 2-2 either way. So, I think there will be goals in that game for sure. And then at my other striker, for now, obviously, I can make some money move around. But I got Latte Lot because after last game, he's got to have a goal. He needs a goal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, honestly.
And I might take Miggy out because I think Latte Lot is more likely for the Atlanta player to be the guy who really plays well.
I would like to correct the record. I've taken Martinez out and put in Muriel.
Oh, nice.
I took Muriel for Messi, but I think I made the wrong call there. So my new front 3 is Baribo, Muriel, Messi on the bench. And then, John, did we go through your players yet?
We
just did your team. So who do you got?
Okay, so right now I have Carnell in goal. I had Celentano, and I like him better. But I like a lot of the Cincinnati field players. So I might switch that back and take Miles Robinson out. I think I would be able to afford Wagner at that point. So I think I will do that. But right now it's Miles Robinson, Omar Valencia, like I said, also attacking,
Yeah.
and Andy Nahar. I have Pulse Camp as my if Coronel. So Coronel will play both of his games before Pulse Camp will play his.
Gotcha.
He only has one, but depending on what Coronel does, I might pull the trigger on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. For my midfield, I have Evander, and he's my captain. I think he's a must start this week. I think he's going to have the highest points in the whole. We'll see. I have Ojeda, Mukhtar, Rusnak, and I have Heel on the bench.
Ooh.
I was also thinking about McGlynn.
Yep.
But he can't crack that for me. I have Denke up top on the field. And then I have Choupo-Moting and Messi on the bench.
Gotcha.
So
sounds expensive.
It is. I have a lot more money than you probably.
Yeah.
I have 146.65 million.
I'm
What do you
on
have?
144.8.
I'm at like 117. You guys are gouging.
You have more than 144.8 because you have like 3 million.
Oh, so I have
almost 4 million.
Yeah, 148.
It's not monopolies.
0.75.
Monopolies aren't allowed. You guys are supposed to give money out to us.
So let's get into. Don't get excited about the other lines.
Sorry.
We're talking Major League Soccer
Of course,
right now.
yeah.
This is serious. So as usual with the double game week, we only have Wednesday night lines. Saturday night lines won't come out till after the Wednesday games because those are part of it.
I was gonna say if you look on offshore books, you might be able to find them, but
possibly. But even then, they're gonna change from what they are today.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you like a line, if you can find it for Saturday, I'd definitely take it now because it'll move before then.
Yeah. So Miami minus 235. I'd stay away from it. It's just not a good enough number.
If you doing a parlay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I maybe take the over.
The over is 3.5 plus 1.
Oh, that's a big number. I might switch it down to 2.5 and then take the number.
Yeah, definitely possible. Cincinnati minus 155. I mean, it feels like free money, even though it's not great odds there.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to know if Lucho's back.
And Cincinnati.
Yeah, I would as well.
Cincinnati at win or draw double chance might be a decent number.
I also like that Cincinnati's coming off a loss on the road. They're coming home after a loss. I think they're going to take it to Dallas.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Even with Lucho.
The Union going to Toronto plus 135. The draw is plus 240.
I don't like any of those numbers. Maybe it looks like people are going towards the over, but I think you stay away from this game altogether.
Over's 2.5 minus 135. There was one game that I did.
What about Atlanta?
Yeah, so Orlando.
That's an interesting number.
Orlando's plus 155.
Very interesting.
Wow.
I love
Atlanta plus 145, so not that different.
The over is highly boosted. They think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game.
Yeah, over 2.5 is minus 165. I typically don't do this, but just to see total goals, over 3.5, if you adjust the line, is plus 145.
That's not a huge number.
I don't hate that for plus 145.
Yeah, I think that's a good number.
And it's Orlando on the road, not Orlando at home. So this is not going to be the shutdown, constant clean sheet.
Yeah, and I mean,
Orlando on the road is allowing 0.71 goals per game.
Interesting.
They have a clean sheet in their last 4 on the road.
I mean, I think at some point that's got to change, especially with the way Atlanta played the last game. 4 clean
sheets in a row on the road.
Is that
pretty good?
Is that viable though?
Well, yeah.
Well, what I think happens on the road, I think they park the bus.
Gotcha. Yeah, but
because they're on the road.
With the way they play, though, going attacking with Freeman and some of their wing backs, if they get caught out,
it totally leaves them
it
susceptible.
could definitely go back.
But they might not do that on the road.
Gotcha.
I mean, I haven't really paid attention to that.
And I was going to say Atlanta would definitely be able to get them.
But Atlanta at home.
I was going to say they've been tough.
Almost a goal and a half per game.
I was going to say you might get that number just with Orlando. They could it could be 3.
And I think when Orlando starts scoring, then Atlanta has to.
Yeah, I mean, I could see 3-1 Orlando, maybe 4-2, anything like that. I think it'll be a high numbered game though.
Red Bull Charlotte plus 300 for Charlotte.
Wow.
Red Bulls are minus 118. I don't know that I love Charlotte in this game, but if you bet the the away plus the draw.
Oh yeah,
you're
that's a good number.
You're making money either way.
That's a big
plus
number.
Plus 260 on the draw, plus 300 for Charlotte. So,
Or you could double chance it too, maybe, and
you can
put in
play
a
the odds
parlay.
New England plus 185 going to DC. That's another line I really like.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's an interesting number for sure.
I would like to know if Benteke's back.
That is
if he's
big
not,
factor.
Oh
here.
God, I love that. What's LA Galaxy?
The LA Galaxy are
Plus-
even money.
Yeah, wow.
San Jose plus 220. Love
Wow.
San Jose.
And it looks like it's going towards under 3.5, but 3.5 is still a big number. For
Yeah.
I
a
was
startup.
just thinking, could this be LA's first win of the season?
Maybe.
Because San Jose is very good at shitting the bed.
The way
Well, and they're
the
missing
way
a lot of guys.
the line has it as they're gonna win, basically.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
And the Noah Rongo
I mean,
still.
plus 100's the best you can give the Galaxy, and
Wow.
Vancouver plus 110 at home with Minnesota coming. Anytime I see Vancouver at home positive, it's always one I at least look at. I could see this being a draw. I could even see Minnesota squeaking out a win.
I kind of love the under 2.5. I see a 1-1, 2-0, maybe. I think low scoring.
minus 105 on under 2.5. So that's definitely a number to look at. Colorado going to Portland. So I don't really like the Rapids in this game, but they are plus 320 and the draw is plus 300.
That's a big number, yeah.
So
Wow.
that's a double chance for sure to look at. Oh my God, there are Saturday lines.
Oh,
here.
they do have them up? Gotcha.
usually don't
I was
do
gonna
that.
say,
How is that possible?
I was gonna say,
I
I
don't
thought BetMGM did have them sometimes.
Yeah,
because
so-
that's the app I use. but
Honestly, these Saturday lines,
I was gonna say they're probably gonna change, but if you like them
Yeah.
right now,
But if
I
you
would
like
take
them now, take them now,
definitely.
yeah.
definitely. I mean,
You need to watch like yellow card accumulation and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for
People
sure.
could be missing a really key player that can make a big difference in the game.
the big one that jumps out at me right now: New England's going to Montreal plus 125. Atlanta going to New York plus 230. We'll see how they do Wednesday.
And then the tie plus 250.
Yeah, so that's money either way on that. The other one, I mean, Cincinnati's minus 165 against DC.
I think Orlando, you kind of have, if you like another game on Saturday or Sunday, I think you got to take Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando's minus 200, and it's kind of a sure thing. So, I mean, you could parlay.
Well,
that
and
with
that's
another
Chicago
bet.
without Gutierrez or that
Yeah, that's
center
what
back.
it seems like that for minus 200.
Yeah.
That seems about as sure as you can get for
Yeah.
minus 200.
Nashville
and
NYC
no one on Orlando's on yellow card watch.
Yeah. Nashville NYC. Honestly, I would be staying away from that game. The only reason I bring it up is because everything's positive. Nashville plus 120, NYCFC plus 200.
Yeah, that's a game that could go either way.
Yeah.
The draw is plus 240 as well.
The
if you
goals
really
are pretty
feel
close
crazy.
too.
Yeah, under 2.5 is even money. Over 2.5 is minus 145.
Yeah, I would
there,
stay away
so.
for that game for sure.
Honestly, with these Saturday games, even if you love a line right now, and there weren't a ton that I loved, I wouldn't be betting Saturday yet. I would see what happens Wednesday.
What's
because,
Cincinnati?
They were minus for sure.
Is it like minus 250?
Minus
Minus
180
165.
165, yeah.
Not a terrible
Yeah, it's
number.
No,
not terrible.
I like that.
Um,
And
yeah.
I'm curious, can you
Yeah, I
see
mean,
San
you could-
Diego's?
You could do Cincinnati and Orlando together, really.
Yeah, you could. Minus 200, minus 165. I bet that gets you.
Yeah, you
over
would get to
money
even for
now.
sure.
San
Yeah,
Diego at home against Austin.
Yeah, and San Diego, that line is not out yet.
Okay.
So not all of them. And I don't have Seattle on Sunday either. So if you want to bet the Saturday games, I mean, honestly, unless you want to hop on the Cincinnati-Orlando parlay that we just mentioned, I wouldn't bet them right
yeah.
now.
Everything else looks like it'll move probably in
Um,
your favor.
And if you do bet them, honestly, I would be looking at Wednesday. Are there red cards, anything like that? Because
Yeah.
that might be one that you want to cash out if things change.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our show this week. John, is there anything else you want to say to the people?
Good luck. And Brian and Landon, check your damn lineups.
Always check your lineups, guys. Landon, thank you so much for coming on this week.
It was a pleasure. Thank you guys.
We'll see you.